Hi everybody, it's Miss Betts again, and today we're going to be talking about introducing sources when we're writing papers. So we want to remember that it is important to introduce our authors or the websites or book or article, whatever we're using. We want to remember to introduce that in our writing so our reader can know what's coming up. It's really confusing for a reader if we're typing along and then we just have a random quote and we don't know what it's from. Later on in the paper, if you've already introduced the source, you don't need to introduce them again since we've already introduced them once. The reader should know by then. But when it's the first time using a source in the paper, we need to remember to introduce them. And the great thing about this is that you've already learned how to introduce sources orally when you're giving speeches. And when we introduce sources in writing, it's very, very similar. So I gave you all an example here. So let's say we'll set up the scenario. I'm writing an argumentative paper about Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. And I'm going to argue that Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is the best book to read. Hands down, there's no other book out there that's better. So if I'm going to be talking about Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone and using quotes from that book, I'm probably going to have to introduce the author, J.K. Rowling, at some point, just so my reader knows who I'm talking about. And since Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is such a popular book, everybody's probably going to know her anyways, but in this case, I'm still going to introduce who she is. So I gave you all an example here below, and the introduction in it is going to be bolded and underlined. So I wrote out, everyone should read Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone because it teaches readers about finding strength in love. J.K. Rowling, a well-known author, has won many awards, including the Children's Book of the Year. She's been writing fiction for almost 30 years now, being the author of one of the best-selling book series in the world. Stop. So before we go on, let's talk about that and break that down. So the bolded and underlined section is our introduction of our author. So when we're introducing our source or introducing our author or the website, whatever the source may be, we want to make sure to give a little bit of background about them, so who they are. In this case, J.K. Rowling, she's an author. She writes books. So we include that. And to give her some credibility or merit of why she's so important or why her books are so great, I included that she's won many awards and then listed one that is pretty well known, the Children's Book of the Year, Best Children's Book of the Year. And then after that, I gave just a little more background about her, that she's been writing fiction for almost 30 years. Any author that's been doing that, and as I listed afterwards, is one of the authors of the best-selling book series in the world, must be a pretty good author. So we can trust that J.K. Rowling is a credible source. So then going on, I would discuss that in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, the reader's taught a lesson about finding strength in love. The reader can see this plainly towards the end of the book when Harry has been protected by his mother's love for him. And then I have a quote, "Your mother died to save you. If there is one thing Voldemort cannot understand, it is love. He didn't realize that a love as powerful as your mother's for you leaves its own mark. Voldemort could not touch you for this reason. It was agony to touch a person marked by something so good." So then, since we already introduced J.K. Rowling, you can see here, all I included was the page number. That's all you need. But later on, if I was giving more evidence, you can see down here in the section on in writing, if I was giving more evidence and then didn't introduce J.K. Rowling again, since we've already done that, I'm going to include her last name, comma, and then the page number, boxed in by those parentheses that go like this. It looks like they're almost cupping her last name in the page number. So that's a pretty simple introduction to introducing sources. It's pretty easy once you get the hang of it. It seems overwhelming and like it's a lot of information, so if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me or Ms. McNamara and we'll both be happy to help you. Good luck, and I'm excited to see what you all share in your papers. Have a great day.